Algebra 1, 8.4, Quadratic Equations. Now we have a value or a number in front of our x squared term. So when we factor these, it is still going to be two numbers that add up to equal b, but now the product has to equal AC. It won't equal C like the previous problem. It will equal AC. So when we take a look at our first problem over here, if we call this one number 1, it will be what two numbers are going to add up to get me 13, a negative 13, and what two numbers multiplied are going to give me 30, because we have to go 5 times 6. 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. So what numbers can I add there to get 13? The signs are the same. From this, the signs are the same, and they're negative. So I have to go with those two. Yes, some of you might have thought we could go here with the 2 and the negative 15, and we would get negative 13. Well, yes, but the signs have to be the same, because when I multiply them, I have to get a positive 30. So this is going to be negative 3 and a negative 10, a negative 3 and a negative 10. This part right here is going to be the hardest part. Once you get that figured out, now I have this. Watch carefully. 5x squared minus 3x minus 10x, and then plus 6. So let's take a look here. The 5x squared, you know where that came from. The minus 3 and the minus 10 is from here. And my plus 6, that goes back to the original equation. Just like the 5x squared goes back to the original equation, what I have is these two middle parts. Okay? Whereas in the past, we only had one number there. Now we have two of them. Those are the two numbers that add up. Because to factor now, I am going to do AC split the middle. I am going to factor by grouping. Okay, I'm going to factor by grouping. So I'm going to look at 5x squared minus 3x. I'm going to look at that together. Okay, I really shouldn't put that in parentheses, though. You might get confused there. So I have 5x squared minus 3x, and then I will do this here. And I have my minus 10x plus 6. So if I factor an x out, I have 5x minus 3. And over here, if I factor out negative 2, I will also have 5x plus 3. In this problem, when you are doing the second part here, you have to be trying to match that. What am I going to factor? Whoops, I have a minus 3, and this should be right here, minus 3. Good thing I was checking that and explaining that. This is going to be 5x minus 3. A negative 2 times a negative 3 give me the positive 6. Okay, I need those two parts to match. So now I have x minus 2 and 5x minus 3 as my factor, or my factors. Let's take a look here at the next problem. 7x squared plus 29x plus 4. What two numbers are going to add up to equal 29? But what two numbers are going to multiply to give me 28? Because remember, I have to go 4 times 7. It's AC, 28. In my head, I'm thinking 1 and 28. 2 and 14, 4 and 7. The signs are going to be the same. They're going to be positive. So what two numbers do I add there to get 29? 1 and 29. So this is 1 plus 28, and this is 1 times 28. So when I write this out, it is going to be 7x squared plus x plus 28x plus 4. Hopefully you see where all of that came from. 7x squared plus x plus 28x plus 4. I am going to split the middle with my factoring. I'm going to factor an x. On this left side, I'm going to factor an x out. So I get x and 7x plus 1. What do I need to factor on the other side? So I get 7x plus 1. If I factor a 4 out, a positive 4 out, then I will get 7x plus 1. They match. So putting it together, or putting these two parts together, I get x plus 4, and then quantity 7x plus 1. That is my factoring. So let's get the next problem. I need two numbers that are going to add up to 29, and I need two numbers so that when I multiply, I get 28. Oh, it's the same stuff. It's the same problem. Now I know what I'm doing. All right, so we have 7x squared plus the x plus the 28x plus the 4. Okay? Some of you were thinking, well, can I go 7x squared plus 28x plus x plus 4? What have I done? I have rearranged those two middle terms. Well, yeah, you can, if that's the way you want to do it. This would then be 7x. This would then be 7x, and this would be x plus 4. This would be 1 factored out, and you get x plus 4. And notice when we write it all back together, we get 7x plus 1 and x plus 4. It's the same as over here. So your two middle terms, the whole point of me doing this is to show that the two middle terms, it doesn't matter the order. Doesn't matter the order, it should work out. All right, so let's take a look at these two problems here in the bottom. Okay, I need numbers that are going to add to 13 and numbers that are going to multiply to 30. So again, I'm going to have 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. The signs are the same. They're positive. So what two numbers do I add to get 13? So I have 3 and 10 there, 3 and 10 there. So it's 5x squared plus 3x plus 10x plus 6. The key thing that you have to remember, a lot of times people forget the plus 6 there, common mistake, and that is to put 30 there. Okay? But you have to, what we're doing is we're splitting our 13x. How are we going to split our 13x? The 13x is getting split into 3x plus 10x. That's how we got 13x. Okay? That's all we're doing. But to figure out how to split that, we have to do this. Okay? So, continuing with the problem, factoring out an x, I'm going to have 5x plus 3. And then factoring out a 2, and I get 5x plus 3. So my answer is x plus 2 and 5x plus 3. Those are my factors for that equation. All right, let's take a look at another one. The sum has to be 22, okay? And the product has to be a negative 48. Make sure you understand your signs there. That has to be a negative 48. So, continuing here, 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, 6 and 8. I believe those are my factors. So the signs are different, and they need to add up to 22. If my signs were different and they added to 22, that would give me a positive 24 and a negative 2, a positive 24 and a negative 2. So I'm splitting the 22x into a 24x and a negative 2x. So 6x squared plus 24x minus 2x minus 8. Remember that minus 8 part. Factor a 6x out of my first two terms, and I get x plus 4. Factor a negative 2 out of my last two terms, and that will give me x plus 4. Okay, the key there is that this is negative here. So I get a positive x and a positive 4. So my answer will be 6x minus 2 and x plus 4. Okay, let's take a look at the next problem. The sum of the numbers has to be a negative 17. And the multiplication of the numbers has to be a positive 60. So 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10. Whew. Okay, I'm going to move these two to up here so it's not in my way. 5 and 12 is 60, and 6 and 10. I need the signs to be same, so they're both going to be negative. So a negative 5 and a negative 12, negative 5 and negative 12, and here would be also a negative 5 and a negative 12 because I want a positive 60. So that's going to be 3x squared. I'm going to write this a little different here. Minus 5x minus 12x plus 20. Okay, why did I put those in red? Just to give you a visual. Okay, my first two terms, I'm going to factor an x. So x, and that's going to be 3x minus 5. In my last two terms, one, it needs to be negative because I want that negative 12x to be a positive, and I need to divide that by a negative 4. So I'm going to factor out a negative 4. And when I factor that out, negative 4, it's going to give me a positive 3x minus 5. So my answer is x minus 4 and 3x minus 5. Now, some of you might have already asked the question, but I'm going to answer it now anyways. It doesn't matter our order here, which you have first, which one you have second. All right, let's take a look at the next one. The sum of my numbers has to be a negative 1, and the product of my numbers has to be a negative 2. So 2 is pretty much 2 and 1. I have to figure out the sum is a negative, so it needs to be a negative 2 and a positive 1, a negative 2 and a positive 1. So I have 2n squared minus 2n plus n minus, I almost wrote the wrong thing there, minus 1. Okay? So factoring my first two, I'm going to factor 2n out. So when I take the 2n out, I get n minus 1. And then when I factor a 1 out, because some of you are going, well, it's an n minus 1. It's the same thing. Well, yeah, but I have to factor a 1 out. I have to factor out a positive 1, so I get n minus 1. Okay? That way I have this part, 2n plus 1 and n minus 1. Continuing. The sum of my two numbers has to be a negative 35. And the product of the two numbers, I swear I have a typo on that. Oh, that's right. And the product is 300. The signs are the same. Oh, I know why. Silly me. All right. On all of these problems up to this point, we didn't have to do this step. Notice all of these can be factored by 5. 5 goes in all of them. So let's factor out that 5 first. 2y squared minus 7y plus 6. Now I'm going to look at just this part. The 5 multiplying by 5 is going to carry, but I'm just going to look at that part there. Okay, if I put it in a different color, that would have been great. So I'm going to have 5 times something here, and that is going to be the 2y squared minus 7y plus 6. So my black part now, I'm going to do it just like the other problems. Okay, my black part, I need to know which two numbers are going to add up to a negative 7 and which two numbers are going to be multiplied to get 12. Okay, so the signs are going to be the same, and they're going to be negative. So that is going to be a negative 3 and a negative 4, negative 3 and a negative 4. So I will have, see if I can do this, 5 times the quantity, and then let's go blue. This would be 2y squared, and then let's go green, minus 3x minus 4x, and then we're back to blue, plus 6. I split my minus 7y into a negative 3x minus 4x. Don't forget that. So factoring this now, I'm going to have 5 times, and then I'm going to factor out, whoops, why did I switch my letters here? Bet you some of you are laughing at me now. All right, so those are y's, not x's. Everything's in y's. So it's going to be factoring out a y. So y, and this would be then 2y minus 3. And then I'm going to factor out a negative 2, and that would be 2y minus 3. So my final answer here, I'm running out of space, but my final answer, I will put it here, 5 times y minus 2 and 2y minus 3. Okay, so what had happened here, because all three terms could be factored by a common number, I did that first. That way all my numbers are smaller. That's just the way it works. Sorry. And I think that's the only one I have that is of that nature, so just be careful for that. Prime, I have this here as my note, so I don't make a fool of myself. 4x squared minus 3x plus 5. So what two numbers are going to add to give me a negative 3? And what two numbers can I multiply to get me a positive 20? So if I do my list, 20 and 1, let's do that the other way around because I've been doing them the other way. Let's go 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Okay? Is there any way I can add those two numbers? The signs have to be the same and they have to be different, or negative, excuse me. Signs have to be the same and negative. So is there any way of me adding those numbers to get a negative 3x? Okay, a negative, this would be negative, 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 negative. Is there any way for me to do that? No. So that means this is prime. Now, does it mean that it can't be factored? No, it just cannot be factored by a whole number, okay, or integers, which are positive and negative whole numbers. So that one is prime. So in our last two problems here, we have 4r squared minus r plus 7. We need the sum to equal a negative 1 and the product to equal a positive 28. So when we go through our list, 1 and 28, 2 and 14, 4 and 7, the signs are the same. Both of them are going to be negative. Is there any way that I can add those to get a negative 1? No, I cannot. It is prime. In the next problem, we need the sum to add to 3 and the product to be a negative 10. So we have 1 and 10, 2 and 5. The signs are different, and I want the sum to be 3. So that's going to be 5 and a negative 2. 5 and a negative 2. So I'm going to have 2x squared. Let's do, whoops. 5x squared plus 5x minus 2x minus 5. Factoring an x out of the first two terms, I get 2x plus 5. Factoring a negative 1 out of the last two terms, I get 2x plus 5. So my answer is x minus 1 and 2x plus 5. So when you're doing your assignment, one thing you have to watch out for is if all three numbers can have a common factor. One thing to watch for. And the other thing to watch out for is prime. Good luck.